Okay, this is the inspiration for what we're going to do today. It was taken early morning, Jekyll Island, a few years ago, and I've already started an underpainting in pink acrylic that is right here, and I have another canvas to the side if I choose to attack it as well. But we're going to start with this one. What I did here is I just took this lovely Joe's Prime acrylic, squeezed it out on it, covered it fully, then I got a paper towel and just lifted off a little bit of the lighter parts of what I was going to paint. Because when I looked at this, at the picture, there's a lot of pink undertones. And I knew it was early morning, so I knew I had warm light. So I wanted some warmth underneath, and pink is a very warm color, especially hot pink. Oh. Anyway,
Is it called magenta?
It's called, yeah, this one is magenta. And magenta it's all different, you can get magenta from different companies, and they're a different shade. But I found this one when I did that workshop at abstract workshop at Sharmilla's. It's been 2 years, maybe 3 years now, and we use that. So I really like the texture that it has. Last week I did a painting on using palette knife, and I might end up using palette knife, I'm not sure. But one thing that's different that y'all aren't going to like is the fact that I'm testing out some new paints. So I do not have my traditional palette on the board. I do have a cad lemon, cad yellow, I have a brilliant rose, a magenta, an alizarin, a manganese, or it looks like manganese violet. I have an ultramarine violet, and I threw in, I think it was called King's Blue Deep. Mm-hmm. And I might add something else if it doesn't work. But, I don't have any orange from here, so I'll have to mix it. But all of these were given to me, and it didn't have a yellow in this series, so I pulled it from another one, and so we'll just see what happens. And I think I'm just going to start with a brush to start with. I want to get the feeling of, okay, say if I'm in this, is that showing the paint? Okay. Say I'm in this paint out, and I only have 2 hours to complete whatever I want to do. But my thinking would be, I'd want to do at least 2, because I can work small, I can work fast, and we'll just see. I'm just going to do 1 and time it and see how it goes. And I might even do 1 where it's in, and this is going to be maybe it's somewhat of more of an abstract than I normally do, because I think there's times when I overwork it, and leaving it a little more abstract might be a good thing. But who knows, my other side of my brain might take over and take control. So when I look at the reference, the sky is very muted. It is not bright. The sand has so much blue in it. You can definitely see how. Now don't do that to me. I usually hit this and it goes right there. We go. It goes right back. You can see how the sky reflects in the sand, and the sky color has to be in the ground somewhere to marry the two. But when I squint, the lightest part of my canvas is actually right here. Normally your sky is the lightest, but if you squint, well, no, I'm wrong. When I squint, this part is lighter.
Really?
Squint. Look through your eyelashes, and almost close your eyes.
Sure this hillside isn't the lightest.
It's not.
Interesting.
Can you look through your eye? Look through your squint to where you're looking through your eyelashes.
Yeah.
And this, I wouldn't think so, but this is actually lighter.
Huh.
What? Maybe it's the angle I'm at.
Is it lighter to you, Helen?
Okay, now it's
okay.
But
not.
that's okay.
All right, that's fine. I
The
just was
lightest
thinking
to
it-
me
Okay.
are
I mean,
the
I know I don't see
white
things right,
footprints.
so I
So the lightest is right here to you?
Is the
Yeah.
same.
It must be the light from the window reflected on
Yeah.
the TV.
Would it help? No, we can't.
Don't worry about it. I'll just go with what I originally thought, which was this, and it was probably because I was looking at it right straight on. So we're good. The color of blue that I picked up from this new group of blue, it's kind of fun to, it's that color. It's very similar to the base color that I see there. Of course, I need to add a lot of white. So I'm just going to, I have this lovely, what I call my crummy brushes.
But you got some on your hand too, on
Do
your
I?
wrist of your other hand. There was something blue flitting by. Sorry. Karen. I don't
Oh,
know.
who knows?
Okay.
I don't have a glove on,
What
so.
is that blue labeled? Is that the King's blue?
That is the King's Blue Deep.
Oh Lord.
Unless it's,
What brand is that?
Holland.
Old Holland. She got.
Oh, the Dutch.
The Old Holland. Now, here's an Old Holland Violet Gray. Maybe this
Ooh,
is
I
what I
bet that's
pulled out.
Ooh, I bet that's
That might have
pretty.
been what I pulled out. No, but I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Okay.
Whew.
We have paint.
Is it hot in here to y'all?
It's
It's
a little
warm
muddy.
because of the humidity. Plus the fact that it's getting so warm outside now.
Yeah.
The poor Japanese magnolias are doing dang.
I know. They don't know what to do.
Okay. I had to have some air going. Okay, so I'm going to take some of both of those. I'm just putting a little bit of medium in it. And gonna just lay in my sky. Because traditionally I always start with what's the furthest away. And normally skies, I always go this way. And I've seen some people paint skies doing this. And I thought, well, theirs look really good. So I'm going to try that. So I'm just changing the direction. This I might really change the brush, but okay.
Is that one of the
That's,
crappy brushes?
yeah, that's a crappy brush. That's way too dark. So I'll just pull in white and mix that in. And then I'm going to change the direction a little bit. Yeah, this one's really, really rough. But okay, the bell has rung and I'm painting away and I want to capture something quickly and be true to what I have. Down by the water is lighter. I'm going to get a different brush. That's just, I want something that I can control the edge a little bit when I get closer to the water. I want a straight line more so. And I'm okay with showing brush strokes. And I think sometimes that's, we shy away from that. I know I do sometimes because it uses a lot of paint. But I'm going to try to do that in this one and see
So
how.
you're starting pretty thick.
I'm going to start pretty thick. Because I'm not planning on coming back.
Because you're working quickly.
Because I'm working quickly, I'm trying to capture the essence of where I am in a quick amount of time. And then I'm going to then go across. One reason why I think it works good to go up and down on a seascape is because when you shift and do the water, then it's a different direction. So now I'm laying in the
There goes
water.
the TV again.
Where's my TV? Here we go.
Free up more space.
There we go. Here, I'll give it to y'all. Somebody hit the that back button right there
Okay.
when it
Alright.
does that. Okay, so right now, traditional oils you lay in the dark before you do anything else, and I love color, so I'm just gonna lay in some of this as though it's really brilliant, and I'll come back and tone it down later.
Is that your King's Deep blue?
That was my King's Deep, and I'm adding in the purple because it's getting cooler up front. That's the violet gray. I think I might love this color.
I think so too. That's pretty.
So right now, down here is not very thick. I'm going to come back later, maybe. I I don't know what I'm going to do. I just want to cover the underpainting quickly in the big shapes. And the big shapes I see, do you see how I see, you see the big shapes?
Mhm.
Because sometimes I get bogged down in the details, and it's not until I'm forced to hurry up that I'll focus on the big shapes the way I should. Okay, so at that top above that highlighted yellow is much more blue. That shadow's blue. This shadow's more purple, so I'm going to go back to the purple one. And then I'm going to connect it down back in here. With both colors, actually. That's kind of fun to paint with. Because this is the underneath the grasses. Now, I don't know that painting bit heavy at this point would be really good because in order for something to stick, it's got to be thinner than what you're putting on top. Does that make sense? I mean, underneath's got to be thinner.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I see this big ridge of dried grasses, and I don't have anything that color. So I want to establish first a darker color to go underneath, and I have this a real dark violet. See that? I'm just gonna go. I'm just looking for dark on my palette, maybe dark violet and this alizarin. So I'm gonna see what this will do up underneath, laying in what's back behind in some of the shadows. I don't want to get too busy with that. Go back to my less shaped brush, and that's way more fun to just jab and paint with. And these two are the colors right now are the darkest on my palette, so that's probably telling me they're not dark enough. And I don't want to get it too warm back in here because that's farther away. So I'm going to need to add another color. I think I'll add ultramarine to my palette because I don't have a dark blue. So I'm just pulling out the closest ultramarine that I have in handy, and that happens to be Winsor Newton Winton. And it's darker, and so when I add it to these others, I'm going to get a much darker tone. And sometimes all I'm looking for is the value. I want to get the value right. See how much darker that is with that blue added? And then that blue will also pull in the blue from the sky. So I want, these are dark shadows back behind here, and there's some darkness in some of the foliage. I don't like is red, that's too red for me, so I'm just going to lift that off a little bit and maybe add a little bit of yellow to that brown, reddish brown mixture to tone it down. That's still not the right color. Way not the right color, but you know, there's a hair in that. Don't know how that happened. Don't know how that happened. I don't have any cats in this house. Shh. Okay, so I want it to get, sandier. But honestly, it's the morning, and the morning casts this pinky tone. But look how nice this cruddy brush does the tops of the foliage. Yeah, hit that for me. Oh, got a great assistant over there.
Oops.
Okay,
I
just
went
select it again. Hit
Back.
that one.
Oh, that one. Sorry,
There we
I went.
That is
yeah.
select.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Can I adjust your light? The canvas is showing a big glare, even in your video.
Oh, how's that?
Oops,
Sorry, I
sorry,
put paint
it's
on
just. Oh, well, that's a pretty color.
You. Is that better?
Nah. The video is showing a glare.
How about
Is that too dark for you? That's better in terms
what?
of glare.
The glare's
Yeah.
the glare's
The
gone there.
glare's
You
gone,
can
but
see
is
the
that
paint.
too
Oh,
dark?
I'll just paint over it. That's
Sorry.
Fine. No, you're fine. That's what
The
I mean,
glare doesn't show the true
I don't
color.
see it, so
Oh,
you know,
we
y'all
do.
have to tell me.
Oh, that's much better now. I can see the color.
All right, so that's distance, but it's still very warm. So I'm going to add some of the sky blue to it just to cool it. It's got a shadow. Okay, now my hand's in the
I'm
shadow.
sorry. Do what's best for you.
Yeah.
I'll do it this way.
It was just the glare on the video was making it so you couldn't even.
All right, and then I have some darkness in here. I have some of this dirt color is in the ground. So while my brush is full of this dirty color, I'm just gonna kind of bounce it around and lay it in as though it's part of the,
Piles of dirty sand.
yeah, dirty sand. It's in the shadows. It's not sunlit yet. Sun hasn't gotten that far yet.
She manages to do that, and it creates ziggle with we do it, and we get a nice little pattern to our things.
Oh, it takes practice. And it doesn't always
That
work.
word, that
you
word
know.
practice.
Yeah, it doesn't always work. I'm experimenting all the time. But, I think that's one thing that works for me is the fact that I'm not so hung up on the end product. Because if this doesn't work, I'll still have learned something from it.
Right.
So,
Well, that's the way I feel about watercolors when I put them up. Like, there's a lot to learn here.
okay, see, like this back, according to that, this is too high up. But I'll pull the sky down into it in a minute. And I'm not going to worry about it.
Did
And
you
if it-
add blue to that?
A little bit of white.
Oh, white. Okay.
I wanted to lighten it up, but it's really a little too light. But if I want to make brown, what I have on my palette to make brown is purple and its complement, which is what? Yellow. Yay! So that's how I'm making the brown, is purple and yellow. If you are curious. But it just makes a beautiful yellow. I mean a brown, and it blends with what's there. Okay, so I'm going to just obliterate some of this pink undertones. I really like how dark that was, so I'm going to carry some of that even further up in here, up behind the dune. You don't really see it all that much, but I want to emphasize the light that's going to be on the other side. So I'm going to lay that in, and it's a little hard to see from my angle, that far side of the picture, but that'll work. Wipe off my brush. I'm going to go back into the brown that I made, maybe add a little more alizarin to it, maybe a little bit of that magenta, because you see how pink it is? And to me, the reason why it's so pink is because I caught it, the photo, that morning walk was when the light was so warm. So I have a lot of warmth in my light. So think of it as, adding oranges and pinks and warmth to whatever the light hits. How's that? Is that taking shape? Okay.
Can we take a picture
Yeah.
of your underpainting?
I forget to stop.
You're on
It'll
the
give me
roll.
a chance to wipe my hands off.
Yeah, girl, wash your hands.
I know, I told you that. Okay, so while I'm stopped, what I'm going to do is clean out my brush a little bit. My more shaped brush. And I want to pull down some of that sky in the back. Did y'all get the pictures you needed? Almost.
More zoomed.
Okay, see, this is messing up my time, y'all. You'll have to subtract it from
Yeah,
my
we
time.
will.
I still think I'll beat an hour.
I have to hit back,
Okay, back. Oh, yeah, I just need you to sit there and be my assistant during the day. All right, so my brush didn't have a light enough color on it. I'll just add more to it. I'm just going to pull down some of the sky color, the tint, without totally wiping out what I had created.
You
Kind of
can't change the timing that your screen refreshes.
You probably could. I just hadn't taken the time to do it.
Or every time I paint, I have to change my phone to like.
Now I know how to do it on my phone.
But it's not in the screen.
What is that color in the sky? Just your previously mixed sky color?
It's the white and the blue with a little bit of that purple. What I wanted to do before I finished all of the foliage back here is to pull a little bit more sky down in, and sky color usually sky holes honestly are not as bright as the sky behind it because it's being filtered through things. So I don't want my sky holes to be quite as bright as the sky above it. Can be close, but I wanted to vary that a little bit more. All right, so now I'm going to try to create a little more structure in some of these shrubs up front, and I might have to go to thicker paint, heavier application, because I'm going over some of that dark. So it's not thoroughly mixed on my brush. I'm just, laying in, scumbling, so to speak.
How did you get that pretty light orange?
I made the brown out of the yellow and purple. I added a little bit of the magenta because it was more on the purple was more, the brown was more on the red side. And then white to lighten it up. Mm-hmm.
No yellow?
Oh, yellow was in the brown. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So
Okay.
yellow,
Yeah, got it.
brown,
Yeah. Okay.
and some of this down below, some of this I'm going to have to change to a different brush to get a little more pattern, and but there's all sorts of scrappy stuff on the I don't even have to be anything, see, it's like just kind of a shakiness to it, but I need to obliterate, that's a bad word, I need to lighten up this and go ahead and put in my beachy front. It's very much sky, but there's a little bit of brown brought in, and that's from what I had mixed. I don't think this is going to be blue enough. It might be too warm. I'm not sure. We'll see. I see a little bit of the dunes further back. I'll just drag some of this out. And I need to light, while I have a color on my brush that I think will help something else, and I'll look for that, especially when you're on something timed. And so see if you can just use your time wisely, so to speak, and just put in where you see that color while it's on your brush. And so I haven't cleaned this brush really at all except for wiping it. And I want this to appear in front of these bushes. So I want a harder edge on it. Because this is more my focal point. I added cooler blues to this because it's in the shadow. And I'm going to add some of that going down. Go a step back, lean back in this case. Alright, and this white, which is I would consider it a dirty white, drags all the way down in here. And so I'm just looking for those places in pink that I haven't covered up yet, that I'm going to try to do the strokes in the direction of what I'm looking at. And right now it's out, and when it gets to the ground it's this way and kind of wobbles around footsteps. So I'm not trying to think of what am I painting a shadow? What am I painting? I'm just looking at color and kind of the direction where it is.
That's what you meant by a little bit more abstract.
Uh-huh. And this back side, I want it still a little darker. In the shadows, I got rid of some of that. But these shadows are blue, so I just picked up the blue. My brush was dirty, so I'm just going to create some of those shadows with this fractured brush. That looks like a dip. I don't like that. Yeah, and I'm going to add some leaves and stuff on top of that in a minute. Underneath these plants coming in, there's ripples. So I'm just going to drag that over what's there. I'm just kind of moving the paint, dragging it. And there's a lot of blue in here in shadows where there seems to be kind of a dent in front of that dune. Sorry, I couldn't even think of the word. But I wanna, it's too smooth. So I'm going to change to a different brush. Maybe one that's I'll do a kind of a round filbert that's kind of stiff. And I think that might work. So I'm going to get a shadow color, which is in the blues. And it's stiff, so I can move some paint. Need more paint on there. As though people have, gone up this. They've walked all over the dunes, which they're not supposed to do. See, if I scrub too hard, I'm going to get the pink undertones, which I really don't mind. I want to make back here a little darker. That's too warm. I want it to go back. Even though it's pretty warm there because the sun's hitting it, I want this to read like it's behind that hill. So I want to push it back. So I'm making what's back there cooler. And I'll put some things here that are a little warmer. And I'm just dragging some of the paint that was already there down. I'm not adding any more. See how I'm just creating some of the foliage, I guess, what you call it. I mean, I'm seeing it. Is that coming across to y'all?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Because the light's a little funky, but hey, that's a good challenge.
And it shows up very well color on the video.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just creating some. Again, I'm manipulating what's there because it's wet, and part of it I can just drag some of it and move it. I do want a little bit more orange in the foreground, and I don't have any of that right now. In with the branches, so I'm going to take this rose color that I had and mix it with this pink, and I'm just going to see what that'll do because I really want
Rose
some.
was pink, but you wanted orange.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I wanted a light orange.
Rose was pink.
Uh-huh. That's all right. Yeah, because I want.
That's interesting.
I gave you orange.
I know, because it shouldn't have
Well, because pink is red,
Yeah.
red and yellow.
But you said
Rose is
rose
yellow?
and pink.
Rose is rose pink. Sorry, and yellow.
Oh, yellow.
Oh,
Then
and
what did I
yellow.
say?
You
You
said
said
rose
rose
mixed
and-
with pink.
Oh, okay.
And
Sorry.
so we were like,
Yeah.
2 reds are not giving you an orange.
No,
Okay,
thank
but
you
yellow.
thank you for
Okay.
clarifying that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you know, I want.
Look at your
Hi, Sheldon. Do not come over here. I've got to be careful in what I put here that I don't put too much of the light color where the sun wouldn't hit. See, so like I want some of this in the sun catching some of the warmth, but I don't want what would be in the shadows catching warmth. Yep, see if that makes sense? So I'm going to just take some of this off the page up here. And it might be better if I change brushes again, but you know, I'm not. And then some of that same color is on these dunes, but it's catching the light, so it's warm. And some of that's a little fat, so I need to go to a skinnier brush. Let's see what I have here. Here, I don't know if this will work because it's real skinny.
So you know, you're at about a half an hour.
Okay, good.
Amazing.
Okay, it's real skinny. It's a
One of those
script
ones you told me to
brushes.
buy.
Well, in fact, most of the time when I use script brushes, it's on dry canvas. Because I use such a thin wash of it to get it to flow. But if I want some random sticks and I want some things that are just kind of organic laying out here, I don't like that. They're too dark. But you know, the beach has trash. And I want that darker. Yeah, that brush, I don't have enough control with that brush. It's too soft. Try another. This is one of my favorite actually. It's a dagger brush. That is a Andrew Tischler find. I think they make them just for him. I think they're called Tisch Dagger now. Okay, so these are in the shadows. So the bottom parts of this need to be darker than the part in the light.